I'm giving you this list of high-value targets. More than 12,000 of that are high-value targets. Ganyan po kakapal yung libro.
Okay. Sir, in a short time when VP Robredo was part of the Icad, how was she able to contribute to these numbers na you mentioned, sir? Was there any significant increase or change in the number when she was there in Icad?
In terms of law enforcement, I guess none. Kasi hindi naman talaga na-involve ang ating Vice President in terms of law enforcement. She did not in any way supervise our people down there in the fields. So I guess wala namang nabago o wala namang dapat glaring issues na makikita natin na talagang sabihin natin bumababa ang krimen o bumababa ang accomplishment natin sa illegal drugs or not. But I would just like to give you some briefing on what really happened on Icad. So it started on November 6 when the President appoints our VP to be my co-chair in Icad. And on November 7, I wrote a letter to Malacanang asking the President's guidance. What is the actual responsibility or the scope of authority of the Vice President as my co-chair in Icad? Kasi even the Vice President during the time doesn't even know what is her obligation. In fact, sinasabi niya sa akin during a closed-door meeting before the Icad meeting with her, na sabi niya, DG, hindi ko alam kung anong tatrabahuhin ko rito sa Icad. Hindi ko alam kung ano magiging specific na function ko. So that's the reason why I wrote. But before she said that, nakasulat na ako sa Malacanang and the Department of Justice to give me the functions kung ano magiging responsibility ng Vice President. And then on November 8, that is our first Mother Icad meeting. And it's as I've said, that is just a listening exercise for the Vice President to hear all the 4 clusters who briefed her during the time. And after the meeting, sinabihan ko ang Vice President natin. Sabi ko, Ma'am, meet the 4 clusters, the law enforcement, the advocacy, the justice, and the rehabilitation and reintegration clusters. Because if you meet them, you will know everything about illegal drugs. Somehow you will know exactly what's the total picture of the drug situation in our country. So sabi niya, of course, I would happy to meet them, and I would like to meet the law enforcement clusters first. Kaya after a few days, minute niya yung law enforcement cluster. And doon na lumabas that prior to the meeting, she is asking for the list of high-value targets. And during that time, marinig nyo naman na sinabi ko na I would be gladly to show her the list in a closed-door meeting. I myself, I don't have the list. Any members of the Icad don't have the list. So when she met before meeting the Dangerous Drugs Board, inimbitahan ko ang Vice President natin for a very, very short meeting with her sa Pdea. So, bago siya pumunta sa Dangerous Drugs Board, nag-drop by siya sa Pdea. And sinabi ko sa kanya, Ma'am, I'm taking 2 things this morning to you. Number 1, I would explain to you why China, as you have said in your interview, that China, the main drugs are coming from mainly China. And number 2, I will show you the high-value targets, the list of high-value targets. But she refused. She refused to be briefed on why, sabi ko nga sa kanya, Ma'am, hindi nagagaling sa China lahat, mainly now. There's a geographical shift now But instead, most of the drugs now are coming from Golden Triangle region. In fact, for this year alone, 24 incidents of drug seizures are coming from Golden Triangle. And from these 24, almost 1,000 kilos were seized, worth more than 6.2 billion pesos. So dun pa lang makikita mo na yung geographical shift of drug trafficking. Previously in China, it's not now in China, but more on the borders of Laos, Myanmar, and Thailand. And there are two thick books on my side, and sabi ko sa kanya, "Ma'am, I'm giving you this list of high-value targets. More than 12,000 of that are high-value targets." Ganyan po kakapal yung libro. And the other book, this one, is the accomplishments of all law enforcement agencies on high-value targets. That's more than 8,700 arrests of high-value targets. But unfortunately, she refused to see the list of high-value targets and the briefing presentation of Pdea. For the reason that, sabi niya sa akin, alam mo, Director General, hindi ko pa kasi alam kung ano yung scope of authority ko. Hindi ko alam if I need to know that or not. So, yung meeting na yun, walang nangyari. So, hanggang sinundo na siya ng Dangerous Drugs Board for a meeting with them. But again, there's also a response from Malacanang with regards to my letter asking for the scope of authority. It says there that it's up to me as the co-chair of Icad to give delineation on what is the scope of authority of the President. In short, parang kami-kami na lang mag-uusap sa Icad to determine kung ano-anong, we'll just make an arrangement kung paano bibigyan ng scope of authority o anong magiging responsibility ng ating Vice President. And of course, it would be put into a resolution that we need to furnish to Malacanang.
Sir, given what you said, do you believe, sir, she could have contributed or done more to law enforcement aspect if she wasn't removed only days after she was appointed as your co-chair?
Well, after the Mother Icad meeting and the law enforcement meeting, nagpadala ang ating Vice President ng 2 report sa 2 meeting na yon. Yung report na yon, pinadala niya sa ating mahal na Presidente. At nakasaad doon kung ano yung mga nakita niyang dapat ayusin. Yung mga recommendations niya. For example, nakita niya yung baseline. There is no baseline of drug users and drug pushers. You would know na it started with 1.8 in 15 or 16, and then itong 2017 or 18 na naging 4 million drug users. So parang walang clear na baseline doon. But as of now, the Dangerous Drugs Board is conducting a national survey to determine exactly on how many drug users and pushers, and hopefully it will come out in the first quarter of 2020.
Sir, kahit hindi na siya co-chair ng ICAD, what will you do to her recommendations?
Last Tuesday, we have a Icad fellowship. I just hope na naimbitahan ko pa ang ating Vice President during our fellowship, Christmas fellowship. And during that time, I presented to the Icad members kung ano yung mga recommendation ng ating Vice President. And sabi ko naman, if it would be beneficial to the Icad, why not? Let's follow her recommendation. And I distributed the letters to all Icad members, and I asked them to comply on the concerned agencies kung ano yung mga dapat i-comply doon.
Okay na, Joyce. Okay. Jonah, after Jonah, Ina.
Sir, just a quick follow-up on Joyce.
May idagtong lang pa ako. Sorry ha. The Vice President failed to meet the other three clusters. Yung sinabi ko sa kanya that she will meet, you need to meet the 4 clusters. Anong nangyari? She failed to meet the other 3 clusters when she started to meet other international counterparts like the US, the UNODC. Kaya siguro nangyari na may misinform siya. For example, yung issue about China, that drugs are coming from China. Nagkakaroon ng misinformation, hindi niya nakukuha lahat yung problema ng illegal drugs. Should she met the 4 Icad clusters, magiging mas malaki yung kanyang scope of knowledge kung ano yung drug situation ng Pilipinas. And maybe after meeting the 4 clusters, sana kung meron man siyang mai-implement na program o strategy to strengthen the Icad, sana nagawa sana yung ganon. Ang problema kasi parang hindi ko ba alam kung na-overwhelmed ang ating Vice President from a lot of invitations. She started going around, going to rehabilitation centers, going to barangays, without finishing or consulting the Icad. So sana natapos niya lahat yung clusters na yon before going around, before meeting all other people. Sana natapos niya yung meeting ng clusters na yan. So yun lang ang tingin ko na hindi nagawa ng ating presidente yung time na yun. And hopefully sana na-meet niya yung buong clusters na yun to better understand the drug situation in our country. Yes, ma'am.
Jonah.
Sir, quick follow-up of that. You said that Pdea is conducting a national survey on how many drug users are there.
It's not us, it's Dangerous Drugs Board.
So can you walk us through, sir, kung anong dynamics nung
I can explain that it's being done by Dangerous Drugs Board. It's more, I think it's more scientific way of determining kung ano talaga yung number of users and pushers, and yung number of participant mas malaki. So hopefully, I was informed by first quarter of 2020 lalabas yung survey na yan. But I cannot give you a detailed way on how they conducted the survey.
Hindi naman to, sir, yung parang one-on-one magsasurvey bawat community.
Parang ganon, household. Pupuntahan sila and then they will ask, there's a certain questionnaires to be answered, and there's a better way on doing that. I don't know exactly. Sabi ko nga, it's hard to ask, di ba? Kunwari, pupunta ka sa bahay. Ilan ho ba addict dito?
Yun nga.
Di ba? Ilan ba ang pushers dito?
May aamin.
May aamin ba? Wala. Alam naman sabihin ng nanay, lahat ng anak ko pusher. Lahat ng anak ko user. Di bukas, ino-operatan na sila. Again, I cannot answer for that for Dangerous Drugs Board. Maybe the Dangerous Drugs Board can explain to you more in detail how they've done it.
Sir, other issue po. The International Criminal Court is about to conclude its preliminary examination. Will the government, are you going to provide them the data that you have?
I'll answer for DG. The ICC is in its preliminary examination stage, and up to 2020, I think they would still finalize the preliminary examination before they can ask permission from the pretrial chamber if they can be authorized to conduct investigation. So where it is now, we can provide whatever data that we have because they can access it naman sa mga websites natin, and we always publish them. So in fact, in their preliminary examination report, they even said there that they've been getting data from government agencies, from NGOs, and from stakeholders who always send them reports from the Philippines. So I don't think there's any problem with that because they can always access government records.
Are there any formal communications from the ICC?
I don't think so. We don't know with the DFA, but as of this time, at this point, I don't think there is, especially that it's still at the preliminary examination stage. And I don't think the government, well, we will wait if and when the government would accede to consent to reply.
Thank you, Asik. Ina, after Ina, Arian.
For DG Aquino, sir, when did the surveying start to account for, to give us a better estimate of how many?
Ano po yan?
The surveying of the number of users and pushers. Kailan po nag-umpisa yun?
Within the year lang ay nag-umpisa yan.
Okay. So what was our basis, sir, for the initial estimates that we had? Yung 4 million na madalas pong binabanggit.
Yung nga, when I asked one time, when I asked one of the USEC of Dangerous Drugs Board, it is 4 million accurate. Parang, di ba nagkaroon ng drug users na 4 million. And then, it came to a point then when our president, during one of the statement, his statement that drug users now is about 7 to 8 million. So parang gulong-gulo ako, ilan ba talaga ang drug users?
Yes, sir, saan nga nanggaling po yung 4 million to begin with? If there
Nagkaroon
was
ng ano yan na parang it derived from the computed database on the number of surrenderers, number of total household visited, and the total number of household nationwide. So the methodology is deriving the estimated number of drug users is the formula of ratio and proportion. So there's a formula, something like a formula on how did they do it to end up with a 4 million number of drug users.
Okay. Sir, on the Vice President, on Monday she's presenting her report. I was wondering, when you guys work together, lahat po ba ng information that was given her, you were aware of those?
Yes, I know.
Okay. So is there anything you think that she can present that hindi pa po nape-present sa public given na alam niyo po yung mga nakarating sa kanyang information? Basically, anong expectations niyo dun sa presentation niyo on Monday?
Sa tingin ko yung presentation niya, yun yung mga, yung sinasabi niyang discoveries, yun yung sulat niya kay Presidente kung saan nakasaad doon yung mga recommendations niya to strengthen the Icad. Kaya ngayon, kinonsolidate ko yung dalawang sulat na yon, which nakapipurnished ako. And then I started giving these reports also to all Icad members last Tuesday, nung nagkaroon kami ng fellowship. And I told them to comply to the recommendations of the Vice President. Sabi ko, hindi naman masama yung sinabi ng ating Vice President sa nakita niyang mga recommendations to strengthen our drug efforts. Kaya doon pa lang, sabi ko, sisingilin ko kayo by January. Lahat ng concerned agencies, gusto ko meron kayong sagot doon sa mga recommendations ng Vice President natin.
Okay. So apart from the expected presentation of recommendations, yung baka may umaasa na baka meron siyang i-reveal that's, I don't know, state secrets or anything that's a real discovery that would surprise the people. Based on the information, as you mentioned, na alam mong nakarating sa kanya, meron po bang possibility na mangyari yun?
If there is, I urge her to open up. Hindi kailangan itago. Kung ano yung discoveries na nakita niya, whether it's good or bad for the administration, then go.
Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat, Ina. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of PCOO Undersecretary Rocky Ignacio. Arian Joseph.
Hi, sir. Hello. Sir, just to clarify, may copy na po kayo ng report ni Vice President?
Wala pa po. Ina-assume ko lang na yung mga discoveries niya, yun yung mga recommendations o mga issues na nakikita niya during her 2 weeks as my co-chair dun sa Icad. So, yun lang in-assume ko. Kasi mahaba yun doon sa letter niya kay Presidente. And from there nga, ibinigyan ko na lahat ng kopya ng mga Icad members. So inassume ko lang na yun yung mga discoveries niya.
Pero wala pa pong nabibigay na copy sa Pdea.
Wala pa po.
Okay po. Tapos sir, as chair of Icad po, how would you assess kasi sabi niyo po kanina may mga hindi siya na-meet na cluster. How would you assess her overall performance po with Icad as your co-chair po?
Yun lang sinasabi ko na siguro missteps lang nangyari sa kanya na sana she should have met all the 4 clusters. Yun lang ang nagiging problema na sana na yung pinlan out niya kung ano bang gagawin ko para maintindihan ko muna. Sana inasikaso muna niya yung Icad, which is a very, very important committee, so she could learn everything from there. So how would you understand everything if you are not meeting these people, and yet now you're meeting with other agencies, other foreign groups or what, na yung mismong drug situation sa mga bansa na yan, mas malaki pa problema nila kaysa sa atin.
But sir, generally, do you think, did she do well? Did she perform poorly? How would you assess it as chair of the committee, sir?
Naging okay naman yung performance niya during our time. Pero siyempre, hindi ko makuha yung talagang ma-rate siya. It's just 2 weeks. Paano mo ma-rate yung na gano'n? So,
Yes, sir.
she's not even, kaya nga minsan may data that prior to her, yung mga accomplishments sa grounds, prior dun sa assumption niya, during her assumption, and after assumption. Sabi ko, useless itong data na ito kasi she was not even involved doon sa grounds Hindi siya na involved sa any operations. He did not give any directives or did not supervise our people on the ground. So useless yung sinasabi mong na yung time na wala siya, ito'y namatay. Ngayon nandiyan siya, ito'y namatay. So what's the importance of that data? Walang walang importance 'yon.
Okay, sir. Sa PNP lang po kay spokesman. Sir, kayo po, on the police side po, ano pong comment nyo po doon sa i-release na report ni Vice President on Monday po?
Well, ano mang ipapahayag ng ating Vice President Leni Robredo sa ikabubuti at kagaganda pa nating kampanya laban sa illegal na droga ay welcome sa PNP at inaasahan natin na magagamit natin ito para lalo pang maging epektibo ang ating kampanya laban sa illegal na droga.
Salamat, Arian. Joseph.
Sir, with regard to the report of the Vice President, do you think there will be surprises ng mga things that she might have discovered? Because you said she didn't have access to the high-value target list, right? So what do you think will, aside from the recommendations, do you think there will be surprises?
Kahit may access siya sa high-value target, so palagi ko wala naman siya makikita doon Kaya what's the use? Just like me, no, as the Icad chair, I didn't need to know kung ano yon, kung sino yung mga nasa listahan na yon. What's important is that my people are complying with the targets every month, that they should commit a number of high value targets to be arrested.